Welcome, everybody. It is my birthday. Yes, I'm here giving you a market update because that's what I do every single Tuesday, and it happens to be landing on my birthday. So, we're not going to talk all about how old I am. We are going to talk about how the real estate market works, and I'll share with you a cheesy email that I got from my mortgage broker for my birthday. Dear Melody, it would be great if the only number that ever went up was the value of your home. Hope you have an amazing day. Thank you, Stacy, for that immensely cheesy email that, of course, as a realtor, we all appreciate in the housing industry. So I think that was pretty funny, pretty much gold. Now let's talk about what is happening for listings currently. And I talked to you about how our listings inventory has been increasing over the last bit. Now you can see here, it didn't go up, it went down, but only by 4. So pretty much the listings stayed the same in the last 7 days, which just means, does it mean that no listings came up? No, listings are still coming up, but it just means that the sales are kind of matching what is coming onto the market as new listings. And that's why you see the numbers stay kind of the same, which is a good sign. It means the sales have gone up because sales have been going down and listings have been going up in the last couple weeks. And this week, it looks like the sales might have gone up. So we'll see that in a minute here. So this is Edmonton area. If we take a look at the surrounding areas for listings in St. Albert, we went up a little bit. Sherwood Park, we stayed the same. Spruce Grove, that's a hot place right now, stayed the same as well. And in Beaumont, we also stayed the same. So nothing too crazy. And if you take a look at what went pending, so these are the deals that went under contract in the last 7 days, you see the sales did go up. So just like I said, the listings do always reflect what's happening. If the current listings go up, down, stay the same, it is also to do not just with new listings coming on the market, but how many sales have been coming. So you can see the last 7 days, we had more sales than we did the week before, a significant amount, about 40 some. And I have in St. Albert, it's pretty much the same. Sherwood Park went up a little bit as well, and Spruce Grove went down a bit. Again, these areas have smaller inventory pools, so when things go up or down a little bit, it's not a huge concern or scare. Let's take a look at what sold. So what sold in the last 7 days, which means conditions removed, a significant amount more than the week before, right? You can see it's almost, that's 90 some right there. And in the surrounding areas, again, nothing too crazy, pretty standard when it comes to that. I have a comment here that I want to put up on the screen here. Let's throw it up. So I'm glad there's starting to be more listings. I'll be moving to Edmonton in October. So I don't know if you missed out on what I just mentioned. So in the last few weeks, our listing, actually probably last month, listings have been increasing. However, this last week, our listings just stayed the same, which means listings came on the market and the amount of sales went up. And so it kind of stayed plateaued. If you are looking at houses right now in the market as a buyer, you will understand that there's not a whole lot to look at. So even when I tell you the stats of like, oh, the listings are going up and you're going as a buyer, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. It's very still slim pickings. Now, if I just throw back up the number that we have for listings, we are significantly lower than we were about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we were well over 3,000 listings and people were having issues finding homes. So if you are a buyer looking for a home, you need to understand all the different things at play when it comes to buying a house. Location, price, and type of home. You will have to compromise on one of them, and it doesn't matter what market. You could say, I'm just going to wait until listings show up. That's not how that works because you may not be finding something that actually fits your criteria. So know your budget, talk to a mortgage broker to figure out what your actual financial budget is. Then the reality check has to come in. Your price point will actually dictate what you're going to be able to buy and where. So what is the type of house and where is the location? So if you pick one of them, let's say you're saying, okay, my budget is 600,000. So let's say 500,000 and I really want to buy new. That means the location and the type of home are going to be dictated by that. So if you say, I really want to buy new at 500K, you will not be getting a front attached garage home. Why? Because the average prices of all of those brand new homes start in the 540s and up. And there's zeros. And then if you don't want zeros, are even more expensive, usually closer to 600. But if you're saying, well, it's really important for me to have a front attached garage home for 500, it means that you need to, one, look at older homes that you can find in that price point. Might need work, might need cosmetic updates, might have old furnace, water tank, roof. Or you might say, well, I guess I'm not living in Edmonton. Maybe I'm living out in Leduc, for example, or Spruce Grove. So there's different options that you have to still fit in your budget. And that's something we coach our clients on, because you can't have everything, unfortunately, because sometimes people come here thinking, oh, I can buy the moon with $500,000. And 5 years ago, you could have bought even more house than you could. So Edmonton's market is changing. We have increased in price. The average price point in Edmonton isn't what it used to be. We used to be under 500,000, and now we're just slightly over 500,000 for the average home. When I say this, that's clumping all of the houses that get sold from very old to very new, and from whatever, all the different areas into an average price, right? Because every area in the city also has different price points. So you have to take that into consideration. As a seller, what does this mean for you? I wanted to let you know, as sellers, that just because you see and hear about all these multiple offer, yes, they're still happening, but the price points are being affected. So yes, anything under 500,000 was going really fast. Still going fast. However, if you have priced over, I'm seeing things sit on the market, and that hasn't been something that has been happening lately, but it is starting. I would say probably in the last week or two. I was suspicious that it was going to start happening, and it sure is happening. So even homes under 400,000, if they are priced too high, they are also sitting. So that to me is a big sign of the market shifting. People were saying to me, hey, I don't know if I can, you're crazy. How could prices possibly drop? Vancouver, Toronto always goes up, 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 up. But I don't know if you've heard, the Vancouver market, I've heard, is actually slowing down than what it's used to having. So I think it's important to understand, as a seller, what the actual market is. And how do you know what the market is? What have properties sold for similar to yours in your neighborhood, and also the surrounding areas, to give you context of what people are spending, so you understand how to price your home. In a hot market, when it's very, very busy, you can price slightly above the last sale. I say slightly, which means not 50 to 100K more than the last sale, because the market is on its rise. But right now what I'm seeing is balancing, which means it's very risky to price above. You need to correct quickly and go at market, which means if a house exactly like yours sold for 550,000, then you need to price it for 550,000, and you can still get that action. If you decide to, and here's another thing I always tell my clients, you can never price too low, because if that house is worth 550 and you were to price it at 540, let's say, not only are you going to get a lot more action, you're also going to get potential higher risk, a higher chance of getting multiple offer, because they see the value is actually at 550, not 540. So they're willing to put in an offer. If your house is overpriced and we get an offer and someone else is like, do you want to also put an offer to be multiple? They're like, nah, I don't want to, because they already feel like that house is already too high, and they know in a multiple offer situation that you need to win it, you have to pay at least full list, if not more, and they don't want to play that game. So that's why pricing is so important. The market doesn't just go crazy. And I know there's been talk about interest rates dropping, and will that increase demand? That's a good question. But if you ask anybody who's bought a home in the last 6 to 8 months, they didn't sit there waiting for the interest rates to drop. And let's be honest, they're not going to drop to 1% again, right? Not happening anytime soon, for sure not this year. And so if you are looking at buying a house, a slight interest rate drop isn't going to make a massive demand increase all of a sudden for that. Now, let's just take a look at this other comment here. Can you talk more about townhouses? I'm not sure what you're asking about townhouses, but what I can tell you about townhouses in Edmonton is there are two types of townhouses. Thank you for the birthday wishes. There are two types of townhouses in Edmonton. One with condo fees and one without. That sounds weird, but it's true. The physical building itself, a townhouse, is attached, right? There's typically 3 or more, usually 3 to 4 units attached together. Some cities will call that row housing. Some will call it residential attached. But those are townhouses. And the townhouses may or may not have condominium fees. So that depends on how it was registered, if it has condo fees. If you're looking at homes without condo fees, those ones were built about, I want to say 6 to 7 years ago is maybe when the first ones started to come out with no condo fees. And those were in the newer areas, such as Chapelle, De Rocher, Rosenthal, Secord, all the areas that are kind of on the outskirts of the Anthony Henday. Those are where the non-condominiumized townhouses are. If you're looking at townhouses in the city, higher chance that they're going to be condominiumized and have condo fees. There's a high demand for townhouses because our average price has gone up, like I mentioned earlier. Then everything has gone up. The average price of a single family house is over $500. So guess what? There's a higher demand for townhouses because now townhouses, depending on if you're paying condo fees or not, $250 to low 400s is what you're seeing. So it's big range. The higher range is going to be the one with no condo fees. The new builds are selling for over 400 for those now. Actually, so is resale. And then the condominiumized ones are like in the 300,000s. I'm just talking in general. If you're looking at specific areas, you'll have to take a look at those areas. Let me see. How about new builds? What do you mean? If you are still watching, Sharon, what about new builds? If you're asking about new builds in terms of price points, they're significantly more than a resale home, but people want to buy them because they're new. No one's ever lived in them. You've got warranty and you have more choices. We've been able to help a lot of clients this year buy homes because we've been looking at new builds versus resale. 1, resale, there's not a lot. 2, there are multiple offers a lot of times. And with the new builds, we've been able, for the most part, to avoid multiple offers because there seems to not be the same demand, probably because of the price. So if you're willing to pay a little bit more, not just in the price itself, but the fact that you have to do landscaping, you have to do window coverings, you have to do fence and deck, those added extra costs, which, by the way, you can phase in because the landscaping can't get done until your rough grade is done. And if the rough grade is done, you have a year from that point to get your landscaping done. So you can phase that in. Your window coverings, you realistically only need the ones that are in your bedrooms at the beginning. You can phase the rest of those in too. So there are ways to make that work. So let me just take a look at this other one. I'm just going to remove this here. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I cannot wait. I have a listing video to do. You guys will not want to miss out on this video that will come out tomorrow. It is gorgeous, gorgeous home in Ermineskin, actually, in South Edmonton. And then it's my birthday and I get to hang out with my family. Can you tell us about selling tenanted condos in Edmonton? That is a good question. I don't specialize in condos. I have a partner that works with my clients who want to do that. And she could tell you more. I can't really tell you a whole lot about that. Min is asking about condos without condo fees. Do you know how manage to fix issues like changing your roof? So this is similar to a duplex. So if you have a duplex as 2, right? So if you're changing your roof because it's old, you ask your neighbor, hey, do you want to change your roof? Because it's old and it needs to get changed. Let's split the cost in half because we are sharing half the roof. 1, they can say, yes, let's do it, which is normal. That's what a friendly neighbor should be doing. 2, they might say, no, I don't have the money to do it right now. Could we wait? 3, they might just be like, I don't want to do this at all. So what you do in that situation, which I've seen, half of that roof gets fixed because you're not going to fix the other neighbor's roof. So roofers do know how to do this. They have to do this. So it'd be the same for the townhouse as well. If the townhouse neighbor does not want to do their roof and it's just you, then the roofing company just does the portion that you're on. That's just as simple as it is. Same thing as a fence. Like if you want to ask people to help do a fence, they should be helping contribute for the fence, but they may not. So it's always good to just ask that question. Oh, thank you. Love all the birthday wishes. They seem to be raising prices like crazy. Does that reflect? You know what they do? They see the resale market go up and they go, hey, we're going to increase our prices too. It's super annoying. Now, I will tell you that the land that they're buying for the homes that will be ready to take possession in the fall and next spring, the prices have gone up there. And so they're just passing those prices along to you. So you can thank the developers who have the land for increasing the price. So that's part of the cost increase. But they're also looking at the price of, they're just looking at the market and going, hey, the market's hot. So therefore we can get the price. So therefore I'm going to charge more. I work with a lot of builders in terms of figuring out how do we get the best deal for our clients. And a lot of it is also understanding the construction quality of each builder. There are some builders that are more affordable than others, but there's maybe a reason for it. And if they don't, so for example, I see homes, I've been asked to sell certain builders' homes by clients a few years later after they've moved in. And the wear and tear on those homes blows my mind because they use cheaper materials. So at the time you look at the house, you're like, this doesn't look any different than the other builder that's charging 50 grand more. I'm just going to buy this and save myself 50,000. But then when you go to sell it, oh my gosh, like the carpets look like they need to be redone, even though it's a 3-year-old house. The walls were only like spray painted. So that needs a whole new coat of paint. Maybe there's other issues with the home. The kitchen didn't hold up. Like all that stuff is very important to understand which builders have good construction quality and which ones are not. Also, are they going to come back? You need to make sure you make that decision wisely. A lot of times people think, I don't need a realtor. I could just go in and look myself. It's a show home. The salespeople tell me everything I need to know. That may be true. There's a lot of people that don't use realtors when they buy new. But I always recommend that you use a realtor because I'm not just buying one house with that builder. I am helping many clients with many houses. And in the industry, agents, we all talk as well too to know what builders are good and bad. And it's really important that you understand those types of things. Oh, thank you, everyone. Everyone's giving me birthday wishes. Min, happy birthday. Thank you. Pietro, thank you for the birthday wishes. Martin, this is $1 million question. I don't have a crystal ball. We typically in the past have followed Calgary's trend. We usually are 2 to 3 months behind Calgary. That all stopped about 3 years ago when they just like took off, and we never followed suit 2 to 3 months later. And 2 to 3 years later, we're still not following suit. Now, yes, are we rising prices because there's a higher demand now in Edmonton? Yes, for sure. But if you take a look at what their prices are and what ours are, there's about a $200K spread, which is quite significant. But don't forget, Calgary is also a different city. They are actually a lot closer to the mountains. You can see the mountains. We cannot see the mountains from Edmonton. As hard as you squint, you will not see the mountains, right? So there is that. There's a different city dynamic. There is a different job market in both cities. And we have different flight patterns. We don't have direct flights in Edmonton as much as Calgary does. Do you think there's any chance either house prices go down in the next few years? There's always a chance, and it's not unlikely, actually. When the market goes up, it always auto-corrects every single time. Now, it doesn't auto-correct to prior to the peak, right? It will, every time I look at market stats, when the market goes up, it comes back down. Now, it doesn't go, like if it was here and it goes up to here, It doesn't come back down to here. What happens is it goes up and then it adjusts, and then it goes up and then it adjusts. So it kind of does this slow gradual thing. Seasonal lows come at about summertime and winter, because in the summer more people want to travel and they take off, and there's not as many sales, there's less demand, and then if you're a seller and you want to sell a house, you can't just sit there waiting for a multiple offer. So that doesn't happen. Now, if you are looking at fall, winter, you're like, oh, this is a great time to buy. True, less demand, but also less homes on the market, because most people selling don't necessarily want to be looking for their next step in the winter either. And so that's why you see that natural influx in about March to April, sometimes February. This year we saw it happen in January. The weather is kind of a funny thing here in the city. If it's warmer and people are more antsy, they will get moving sooner than later. So I have no idea about Calgary's market. I cannot talk about it because I don't sell there. I don't have a clue. I know when I talked to my colleagues last week when we were together in the mountains for a real estate conference, they talked about the market. It's not as busy as it has been, but come on, their houses are, don't forget too, they also have a much higher upper range inventory. They have areas in the city that are all multi-million-dollar homes, and there are multiple areas like this. We don't have as high of a number of sales over $1 million. I would say 1 to 2 million, it's decent, but it's nowhere near what Calgary has for 1 to 2 million. And then 2 million and up in Edmonton is a very low statistic. And in in Calgary, it's quite high. It's quite normal to see $3-4 million houses. So definitely Edmonton and Calgary have their huge discrepancies on kind of where they are at in the market. Thank you, Dongjin, for your birthday wishes. Speaking of which, 22 minutes in, I'm going to sign off for today for my birthday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.